Hi guys, how's it going? I'm Morgan, this is Ron, and welcome to a new episode of CCTV. As always, thank you for subscribing, commenting, whatever, showing love. Thank you for that. If you haven't already, check out our previous episodes. We did one about the Air Max 97 Supreme, which Ron picked up recently. And also we went into a little bit about my Adidas, which is Adidas's customization program, where I got to show off an EQT that I made.
Also, we filmed our second episode where we reviewed the Nike Air Max 90 Career, which was the all blue denim Air Max 90. And also Morgan showed his latest pickup, which was the Nike Terra Certig OG from the mid 1990s. So yeah, make sure you go and check those two episodes out. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about two things that probably don't get talked about too much. We're going to talk about sample pairs, and we're going to talk about sole swapping.
It's a subject which is a little bit taboo. As I'm sure a lot of you watching already know what they are. When you are making a shoe, you're designing a shoe for a brand, you make it on a computer, like you choose all the colors, you choose the materials, you send that off to a factory, and they come back with a first round sample. It's a physical representation of what you've created on a computer for you to have a look at, for you to try on. Is it comfortable? Is this material the right material to be using for strength? Like they had that recently with the Tom Sachs Nike Mars runner as well, wasn't it? Because the first ones they did just had a really short lifespan on them because the material would wear away in certain places, which they couldn't really predict, I guess. And now they've come back and done them again in mesh, which is quite cool. So yeah, it's a way to like try out materials, try out different ideas really.
I guess as well, it's to see if like the color panels actually work well together.
Yeah.
And also, you know, if you're making a shoe with multiple panels of the same color to see how, in different materials to see how they come up. So
you have to choose different Pantones between them, don't you?
If you've got a blue mesh and a blue suede panel, both in the same Pantone, they might actually come out different colors still because of how the materials sit. So it's a case of checking all that.
Basically, they're not really meant to get into the general public's hand because obviously the brands want to give you the final product, the stores want to give you the final product, and the samples are not always the final product. Sometimes they can be a little bit wrong with them, but sometimes they can actually be better than what we end up with. But that's all down to personal opinion.
I guess as well it's the rarity because, you know, when a brand makes a sample, say if it's of a collaboration shoe. So with the Patagel Saga, for instance, the release version had the black fur on the side of the shoe, whereas there were samples with white fur and then like a zebra style fur as well. Like in my opinion, the black version looks better than the other two, but they're obviously, because there's only 3 pairs made with the zebra fur and 3 pairs made with the white fur, they're like an extremely rare version of a shoe that's already really rare. So there's obviously like a great demand for those models and those samples.
Getting hold of them is a bit of a mission. Sometimes they pop up on eBay. Normally they hang around in the brand office, like sometimes they slip out the back door. But yeah, they're not easy to get hold of, and they're really sought after by collectors of shoes. Today we're going to show you a really cool pair. It's one of 215, 216's most hyped shoes, so this is already like quite a special one.
So these are a sample pair of Adidas NMD R1 that I got hold of last summer. I've not really worn them very much, like I think I've worn them say 2 times, and I haven't put any pictures up on social media, so I don't think many people will really have seen these. They were a sample which never went into mass production, so that does make them like a very rare and quite interesting shoe. I've not seen anybody else with another pair of these, and I've not seen anybody else with a pair of the same sort of makeup in a different colorway either. I mean, being honest, they're not a massively groundbreaking shoe. They're quite standard, so you've got like the sort of blue, baby blue open mesh, baby blue 3 stripes on them, and then you have the black NMD support bars in the Boost sole. I find it really interesting, like the suede panel on the back. That's quite a nice touch. I mean, obviously, like these aren't the first or only pair of NMDs ever to have suede at the back. I mean, I got hold of these last year, like around June, and I know there was like the suede pack came out later in the year, where they had like the suede rear paneling. So, you know, maybe this was like a precursor to those pairs. With sample shoes like this, like a really easy way to tell that they're a sample, and something that's quite cool, is that you will have sometimes like a patch inside or a printed thing inside saying that the shoe's a sample, not for resale, which is quite cool. But then obviously no one sees it, and yeah, no one listens to it, which is the whole reason why you end up getting these in your hands.
Yeah, so I think this is a good example of the sampling process. I mean, why did Adidas not decide to produce these? Who knows? Maybe it could be because the shades are slightly off on the blues. Maybe that wasn't the look they were going for. Or maybe they just put too many shoes in the pack and this was the weakest one out of all of them. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Is this something you buy? Is this like, is that a good color for you? Okay, so breaking it down for everybody watching, can you tell us, where did you get these? Well, and how to get these?
Yeah, I mean, it's never easy to find samples. So at another event, I saw a pair of NMD samples and a guy claimed he wanted £1,000 for them, which was a bit of a joke, to be honest. With these, I was just very lucky because I've got a friend who managed to get hold of these from another friend of his who worked for Adidas, and he just said it's not really his style of shoe, didn't fit him. So he's like, if you'd like them, if it's something that you'd like appreciate and would wear, I'm more than happy to send them over to you. So obviously I was very, very grateful, and yeah, it's just really nice that I was able to sort of like use my connections and get given something that's like just a really, really nice shoe, and something that it's in a colorway I like, and it's a model that I like. With samples, like most pairs that are made tend to come in size US 9. So with Nike, that's obviously a UK 8, same with Asics, but then with Adidas, that's a UK 8.5. And fortunately, like whilst I'm a UK 9 normally, I find like the NMD R1 does fit like slightly roomier. So yeah, like it's a perfect fit, like UK 8.5. If you wanted to try and find a pair of these, best places to look are Instagram, go on eBay. There's always like really interesting sample pairs at the Crepe City events. If you check out the Crepe City Facebook marketplace page, there's always interesting stuff on there, like you sometimes see good samples on there. So yeah, it's just a case of putting the feelers out, having a look, probably not trying to look for something specific, but then yeah, when something comes up, just be cash ready to jump on it if it's something you like. So now for the second part of the video, we're going to show you a pair which I've just recently picked up.
I actually saw these on the group originally. I messaged the guy. I'm always on the hunt for this shoe, so if I see something around my sort of size run, I'll just go for it. But I already had a pair of these, and me and Ron did a really cool trade on them, so it worked out fair in the end.
Yeah, it was a good trade, wasn't it? You got
Flyknit Racer, the gold and yellow version, which came out in like 2012 or something. It's like my favourite pair basically of racers, so I'm happy to have those.
And I got in exchange these,
which are probably one of my favourite shoes of all time. They're absolutely stunning. This is original 1997 pair of Nike Zoom Spiridons. As you can see,
unfortunately, there's no OG box, but
no OG box. Took a bit of the price off on that one.
Beggars can't be choosers, really. Do you know what I mean?
So these are completely dead stock, which means a lot brand new. These have never been worn. The only issue with them, as you can see, is there's basically no sole on one of the shoes, and that one's sort of falling as well.
Yeah, so the sole's like just crumbling off on the second shoe.
So that is a problem with what the material that they used on the Spiridons. So you had the foam, which is the white, obviously, and then the red was a plastic, and over time the plastic just brittled basically. And attached to the plastic are these. Have you got some there?
Yeah, these like Zoom Air pods.
These Zoom Air pods, which contain the Zoom Air. So this is tensile air. If you want to know more about this sort of stuff, you can check out the issue 3 of the Crepe City magazine, as we've got a full interview in there with Christian Tresser, who was the original designer of the shoe. And it gives you a little bit more background. If you're a big fan of Spiridons, I really suggest checking it out. It's quite hard to track down the old copies now, but I'm sure you can find someone with one.
Some on the Crepe City website, crepecity.co.uk.
We still got some left?
Yeah, still.
Wicked, yeah. Go get one of those then, because they're really worth it. But this sole is in a lot better condition. Here you can see all the different pods, which would support you as you ran. As always with Nike, this was originally a shoe made for running. A lot of people used to do marathons in it, and it's just one of the I've lost the words. It's so good. So you've got mesh, you've got 3M, you've got a shiny swoosh, and you've got a mini swoosh as well, which featured really heavily around like the 96, 97 era. It's just a big ball of swooshes basically, which I'm sure a lot of you guys find really cool. So to find these in dead stock nowadays is quite hard.
How much do you think you'd pay nowadays to find a dead stock pair of these?
If it was dead stock and the sole was fine, I'd be probably looking at spending 160 to 200, but I'd probably be trying to get 130.
You'd be lowballing.
I'd be lowballing for 130. Like if I get for 130, I'll get 130. To get these wearable again, we're gonna have to do a sole swap.
It's like the process of how we can go from having this shoe as it is now with a completely knackered sole on the right shoe and a sole that's going to come off on the left shoe, to then make the shoe wearable so that, you know, I can actually get them on foot and enjoy them really and rock them.
So I mean, it's quite a common practice within the sneaker community and all the culture that goes around it and all that crap. Basically, the sole will be taken off, it'll be heated off, the sole will be removed.
So that's the whole sole, not just the outer part. It's like including like the white.
Yep, the white comes off
sole,
completely.
This whole thing comes off,
and you'll be left with the upper of the shoe. Because obviously the upper's in dead stock condition, so you can do whatever you want with the sole. You could put another sole on there from another shoe, but we want to get these looking back pretty much original as possible. So thankfully, in the last year or two, they've retroed the Spiridon again. So there's quite a few satin outlets because, I don't know, like some of the colorways just weren't as popular. But that, thankfully for us, that means we can put a brand new sole, which is going to have a lot of life on it, onto this shoe. So what that entails is basically take it off, you sand down the bottom and you sand down the sole to give it a little bit of roughness for the glue to stick on. Put a coat of glue on, stick it on, and then
it just needs to be held in place.
With some clamps. Yep.
24, 48 hours with the clamps.
But yeah, once the sole's swapped, they're completely wearable again. And newer soles last a lot longer than these old ones. So, I mean, once this is done, it should be 10, 15 year lifespan on the shoe, I reckon.
And I think it's always the problem, isn't it, with old shoes, like you have problems with glue, like the glue loses its ability to stick over time. So that's one reason why things fall apart. And also in shoes with air bubbles, so not like a shoe like this, but say an Air Max 1 or an Air Max 90, like the air unit will either expand or contract over time depending where you are. Yeah. And then you'll have problems with the sole as a result.
They always say as well that if you're buying quite an old shoe, if it has been worn, sometimes it's actually like a benefit, because basically because the sole is getting a little bit of used to it, it makes it not as brittle. Whereas these have never been worn, so they're obviously really brittle.
Yeah, they're extremely brittle.
But yeah, there's loads of science in it, innit? You know what I mean? Loads of people say like, oh, keep them in a fridge, or don't have the paper in the box. It's
just old wives' tales, really. Different people with different myths. But I mean, one thing I have noticed is when you change the humidity for a shoe, that makes a really massive difference to how the sole is treated. So for instance, there's a lot of old pairs in Japan. Last time I went to Tokyo, I bought some Jordans back, and literally as soon as I brought them back from Tokyo to here, like the soles just, you could see they start cracking.
Dry out.
Yeah, they just dry out. It's not good.
I don't think there's enough of these around for it to be common, but like I haven't seen anyone swap onto a new Spiridon sole yet. And one of the things you have to watch out for is minute differences with like measurements and stuff that they change over time, either for like comfort or they just
like lowering production costs.
Yeah,
isn't it?
lowering production costs, or they want to use the sole for more things.
It's something you see quite a lot with like Air Max 1 and Air Max 90. So there's like little variations in the sizes, in like the length of the model or the size of the sole. So you do sometimes see, like, even if you put a UK9 upper on a UK9 sole, you'll see like
It won't fit.
maybe the back of the shoe might be a bit bulbous, like hanging out. Like, so yeah, you do have to be careful with these sort of things.
And that's just, it's basically just like do a bit of research, like speak to a few people, and you should be able to work it out. Basically, but that is like one of the only problems, I reckon. You know what I mean, like, just if the sole don't fit, then you're not gonna be able to. Oh look, you can see it there. That's the fucking tense I wear there. You can see it. You see where it's like loads of lines of fibre?
Yeah.
That's zoom air. That's where it's compressing down. That's sick. I've never seen that like close up. I just thought that was foam.
Yeah, I thought it was foam as well.
That's actually mad. So that is sole swapping, and this is a beautiful pair of Spiridons.
And yeah,
Oh, fucking phone call. Thank you for watching this episode. It's been a pleasure. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. Also, like, we want to start getting some guests on it. So if you feel like you got something cool you can talk about, you got some cool samples or pairs, you're just an interesting guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, drop it in the comments below, and or drop us an email, whatever.
and same goes. Like, if you're a bit of an expert at sole swapping, it's something you do, let us know, because maybe we can make a little in-depth part 2 about sole swapping and show the process in action. And so yeah, if you want to get involved and maybe work with us on that, like, let us know and we can come and film with you in the future.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get Spiridon sorted and get a video done. Please like, subscribe on this video, go check out our Instagrams, go check out Crepe City on Instagram and the Facebook groups as well. We've got the buy and sell group, and we've also got the community group. So please join, we'll get you added up and accepted. And that's it from us.
Cool, yeah, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time on episode 4. Cheers guys.
Adios.
Take care.